Hi everybody. So today's the first day that we're doing some coyote sets. I'm going to take you along and show you pretty much all the sets that I do. I may not show you every trap, but I'll give you an idea of the general location. I try and find the thickest willows that I can, or the thickest poplar bush. That way it's a little more obvious as to where the trails are. I have brought baits out about 2 weeks ago and they're pretty much all cleaned up. We've had exceptionally warm weather. The snow has melted, not typical at all, so it's really hard to see where their trails were. So anyway, I've just hauled in a little bit of bait to the first location. I use, it's deer season here, and any of the carcasses, hide, gut piles, stuff like that that I can get friends or family to give me, that's what I use. I'm typically not going to show you bait stations and stuff. That's not stuff that is very viewer friendly. So from now on I'll probably just show you trap sets. So I'm just going to grab different gloves. I'll grab traps, show you how they work, and I'll take you in and show you where I put them and why. Okay, I just want to show you the power rams, how I transport stuff. So this is how I carry the snare. I wrap it up so that it's not getting tangled and everything. If you use them in a big, no, don't have them handy, in a big loop, they're always getting tangled and you're trying to get them out. These ones I can put in a little pouch or in the snow machine or whatever. They're not getting tangled. So then it just takes a quick unwrap of them. And you've still got a nice round loop. If it's out of whack a little bit, just give it a little bend where the kink is. So, power ram, and you can see I've got a little chunk of wire stuck through. It goes from the anchor end of the ram through, and that's to hold the loop of the snare up. So now we thread this through. There's a split link, a split chain link here. It goes on, give it a half a turn. The snare is then fully anchored. Then you pull the washer and everything through and put it on the trigger. You can see there's a little U shape there that the snare fits into. And then the snare hangs out like this. And then you set it on the wire at whatever height. You can raise, lower, in, back. We want a little bit more of a round loop, so I'll just start bending the wire to make it nice and round. So that's an example of how it's set. I then use this anchor, wrap it around a willow or a poplar or whatever to make a good anchor. There will be a V where the coyotes are coming through on the path, and this will be about 10 inches above the ground. That's good for now. I'll take you and show you in the actual set. Okay, I've picked a place right through here that the coyotes have a path coming up to where the bait station is. So I'm going to anchor it first. The fellow that taught me how to trap, and there will be lots of people argue this, but he said never go on the trail when you're setting the fence. Come through from the side, or setting the trap, I mean. Come through the side, don't go up there. It makes a difference. It seems to make a difference for me. I know lots of guys that set coyote traps, they walk wherever. If it increases your odds just a little bit, it makes a bit of a difference. That's why I do it. So, first of all, I'm just going to set my anchor. I just have a carabiner here. Clip it onto there. So it's just the one loop around a good solid willow. Even if I catch something big, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to set this in here. I have the safety clip on here, just clips on and off. If this accidentally went off, it would be really hard on the teeth without that on there. So quite often I will use this safety latch to hold the actual trap in place and get the height that I want. It sometimes takes a little figuring out where it works and where it doesn't. And without snow to stick the bottom of the trap in and hold it solid, I might have to use some wire and stuff as well. Okay, so now we're gonna just use this little wire. I make a U in the bottom so that the snare sits in there, and now wind can move it, whatever, and it always comes back to the same place. I want to make a bit rounder loop to it. Okay. That's not too bad. So now, like I said, I wanted it about 10 inches off the ground. So about the top of my thumb, so we have to go up a little bit. It's going to be pretty close by the time we get the trap to stay there. There, that's just about perfect. We're about 10 inches up, centered. So now we find a little stick. For what we call a chin lifter. As the coyote's coming along, he's got his nose on the ground, smelling stuff. We need him to lift his chin up high enough to go through here. So we just take a little stick. Well, it's not going to stick in, the ground is too frozen. Challenge of no snow. Okay, so we have to do it a little differently. We'll do some cross pieces and just get him where he has to step over it. The challenge of that is not getting their foot in the snare. We don't want that. So what I've done here, I've just put just some twigs and stuff across, just enough to make that coyote lift his nose up and put his head through here. So it should be a perfect guide for him coming in. Gonna set in here. And what coyotes typically do, they'll go along until they hit a bit of pressure and they go, oh, something's not right, and they'll back up. And when they back up, this pulls right up against their ears, and it actually cuts the blood flow off to on their carotid arteries, and they succumb very, very quickly. It's not that we're choking them out, or typically not. If you have a proper catch, they're out within a couple of seconds. Remember to take the trap setter off. No more of those rookie mistakes, hopefully. And I just used some surveyor tape. I know lots of people use clothespins and stuff like that. But this works for me. I think this area we're not too bad as far as people that are going to damage their trap or take your fur or anything like that. So it's not so bad if it's really obvious. And this way I don't lose any traps. twist to make the snare hang straighter. Now we're about 10 inches off. Use another stick to create a bit of a funnel. I know I keep complaining about not enough snow, but it'd sure be nice to be able to stick the stick into the snow and have it stay there for sure. Okay, so now all we need is a bit of a chin lifter. Trusty old Swiss Army. Not the ideal chin lifter, but I think it's going to work. Just get them to lift their chin a little bit. Okay, set number 3. Oh, hey, rookie.
Good thing your wife is here.
She is pretty amazing. So this is what I was talking about, thick willows. The last location that I was at, not my ideal sets. It was pasture and the cows have been through it. Not very much underbrush and stuff like that. The reason on that location and the location that we're at right now that I am trapping them, as they're quite a ways away from my home. The farmer last spring had talked to me about getting rid of coyotes. He calves his cows out on these locations, and he was losing a bunch of calves. Coyotes come in, all of a sudden the calves are dead and gone, and that's a big loss to a cattle operation. So if we look around here, there's lots of cattails and stuff, and we have to find trails where the coyotes can get through. And because it's so thick, the coyotes do have trouble finding trails. So it makes it really easy for me to find a place to set, because there's very limited areas that the coyotes can come in. I like to set my snares at least 30 yards away from the bait, just to reduce the amount of times that the birds will get them. Ravens, eagles, stuff like that. If they find a coyote that's not frozen, in no time flat, the hide is completely wrecked. And even 30 yards is pretty close, so the farther away the better. I'll get some traps set. Okay, so that's pretty much a finished set. So as I was just telling you a minute ago, it's so much narrower in here, and you funnel the coyotes. If you look back, there's really no space other than just the odd little place where they can stick their head through. And this becomes just another one of those little places. So as I've walked back away from the bait, and we are about 30 yards from the bait, or maybe a little bit better, this is one of the few places where they're entering in. And even though we've had lots of melting snow and stuff like that, I do see the coyote tracks. It is a trail coming through here. This is one that they're using. Like I said, I did put bait in here about 2 weeks ago. So they're used to coming here. They're used to there being no consequences. So they'll just come trucking right on in to get more food. This time I've got a surprise for them. Take care, everybody. See you a little farther down the line.